Hello and welcome. Currently that of the 24th day of March, 8:27 p.m. Eastern. As of the recording of this video, all bets, trades, and amongst the like, yeah, that's each his own risk and their own reward. Theta Fuel. I sold close to half of the Theta Fuel that I owned, if not about. Um, Let me just pause the tape and check exactly. And it was close to half, 40ish or so percent. Some of it for real good, some of it for another coin, and then another coin, well, Bitcoin. But I want to talk about that for mathematical strategy, as I traded it over 1,000 Satoshi, as I managed to notice that, well, I barely got over that number when I got the sales. Like, wow, with the exchange, with the rake excluded and everything, I basically got the exact 1,000 number. Let's put it that way. So good number, good price. Therefore, how do I play it? I'm going to go over the simple mathematics, especially to make it easy if one likes to trade. And the simple mathematics is such. What you do is you wait for at least a 50% decline. So in this case, under 500. Noticeably under 500, like 450, 460, and anything lower. Even 470 would work for this example. And then you deposit it into your site where you buy, or if you have it in the exchange, I just don't like to hold funds there. And then you buy up what you sold, and you're gonna get a little more than pretty much the same though of what you did before. Because if you're waiting for a 53, 54, 55% decline, and you buy with half of what you sold it for, so if you sold it for every 10 units you got back for the sale, you would sell five, you would bring five back, basically half. And then at that stage there, if there's further decline, so in this case with 500 being the half number, then you can make another buy at like 200 or 250 or 3 and get what you can get out of that. I mean, there's profit. So that is the math upon it. Now we can see this line that I put in. This is an interesting upside line that I drew a little while ago, which did find resistance, but not for that long originally. Actually, no, I found it for a lot. So I was going to say, I'm looking at this thinking, yes, it did when I was saying that because I'm thinking about back here. I actually found it for a quite significant amount of resistance. Markets can correct via that of price and or time, and this is pretty much price or time. Having monster support first at about 572 and then again at around 542. So when it broke 572, like 4, 5, 6%. Yeah, nothing. And then it got to this level, had a little bit of resistance at it, comes back, and then you see it breaking. Okay, decent move. Nothing the greatest though. So this is the either or situation. What's the either or? Either failed breakout with a nice pierce above. Oh, toppy action type thing because the last breakout is going to be the failed one, obviously. But if this isn't going to be resistance, or very little resistance as we can see here, because it's resistance for about 2 weeks on here. But if that's all it's going to be, then we have a small intermediate move up and then it come back to where we came from, which it's done. Well, if we start to rally from here, well, big thing will be Fibonacci from the high of 1,045, whatever the level happens to be currently, in that of 704. But we're going to switch to the daily and talk about Fibonacci on the more longer term with these same highs. Because way back when, and these lines, I'm going to take them out soon, but they were the big Fibonacci lines from this move. That had a high of like 250, just saying. And well, before that, it had a high of 340 on the open, but whatever on that. There's multiple different layers of Fibonacci that I can use. But the ones that I drew in when I first did it was the 46 one, which is basically these lows here. So I could have done these lows, but I'm thinking, you know what? No, I want to do from this breakout point, from so that big low, high divided by low, and you need to do that when the levels are huge, and this is huge. Like High divided by low here is greater than 20. 76.4 comes in at exactly 500. And the 61 at 317, which you'll just say is 300. Because it usually pierces extra. So with what I just said, if you're looking for a greater than 50% decline, well, that works out well, because usually it pierces extra anyway. Now, what I would be hoping for, because I've seen this happen so many times, is to go to 500, because I realize even if, and below, of course, because even if you have a situation where this thing is going to go up pretty big soon, it's not uncommon to have a move like this and then go to 400 or something, then up you go. Wow. Of course, whether that'll be the case. And again, if it happens to go to 500 and then it doesn't go up from there, and I could have waited for a better buy, meaning we see 300 or whatever. Well, like I said at the start, I'll buy half first and then the other half second. And then with dot, it all depends on how one dot and TFuel overperform each other from here on in. So if dot comes in and has like a big 30, 40, 60%, whatever big day it's like, or period of days, okay, I'll sell it for TFuel. Combination with, say, TFuel going down big. Say TFuel goes from 1,000 to 300, and then dot's down like 30% or 20% or even 5. Okay, I'll sell it for, and of course better, of course, I'll sell it for TFuel again. So that is the market. But as far as the key Fibonacci, so far holding within it, but there's no evidence of it breaking down either below support or above that of resistance. Let's go to Theta. And I've been just selling this yada yada whenever, because I trade this against a bunch of things. But for the first time ever, I made a play around the 26,000 and change level, which would have been as it was rising here, to sell for Bitcoin, which is something I don't like doing normally. And I've been wanting to do for a long time. It finally happens. Because when something just has two monsters of a move, and that's what I think this is, that I want to sell enough where if I'm going to withdraw it off the exchange, which of course I did again, and I have to pay that 50,000. Yep, did that. 50,000 Satoshi, which is like, okay, here you go, like $30 or so to withdraw a Bitcoin. Okay, cost of doing business. All right, so therefore, with me on this one, this is monster and play move. I mean, it's just as it goes. I'll do the exact same thing I said before, except for well greater than 50% decline. I'll buy it back at 10,000. Same thing, half. And then if it goes anywhere near 5 or 6, I'll do the other half. And a decent buyback would be pretty good on that. And if it never goes ever again below 10,000, I'll never get my buyback, and that what I sell turns into Bitcoin pretty much forever. I mean, that Bitcoin would be used to do whatever it would use in the future. I don't mind owning other coins. And of course, I'd be fine if that were to be the case. But when these markets have huge moves, they're going to have huge corrections. I mean, this is just a monstrous level. Therefore, Fibonacci calculations. Let's calculate them. If you want to try it yourself, and so like if I was a teacher in school, I'd be like, okay, what's the fib levels, guys? Calculate it. See if you. I mean, where do you pick it from? I mean, my answer is either this low or this low, or this break at one. This one, no go. Okay, let's see. I think I probably want to do the biggest one. I probably have to use a spreadsheet for it though, because I can almost assure you when I do the math on here that when I get the 76.4, it's going to be somewhere like really not much lower than where we are. So let's just see if I'm right about that. The high in here is 27,700. That's just, well, I mean, that's just monstrous. I didn't think it was going to do anything like this, at least on this run. At least not with any type of decent sized price correction or time correction. I mean, breaking it here from like 6,000, even, well, this is an okay one here, but it did really come from this low of like 3,000, I suppose. But so you could use that low too. You know what? For now, I'm going to use this and then maybe compare both numbers because I'm going to do a spreadsheet probably after this. 3,098. 76.4. Yeah, even here, 16,518. Okay. And then let's just see. One thing I like to look at, do these numbers coincide? Do they make sense to key areas? If the answer is yes, then a lot of times I'll give it validity. If no, then that tells me you're not picking the right low or the move isn't over, meaning the high is not going to be 27.7, it's going to be higher. And that is an upward move would be higher, of course, when you're making this retracement range. Okay. So looking at 71, well, 12, well, right now 12,072 are the big ones. If, of course, this is that. So 12,000. Now, just because it broke through, it did nothing here. In fact, 12,000 did it had a little bit of congestion, as if that matters much. It did, but it does state because resistance was pretty much nothing, keep a fast move after it. So just because it doesn't resist there, no. But it would mean that it would be, will it later with support? Would see. Well, of course, that would be a time tell. So you can't see based on that. Oh, that's a key level. But you just know that anytime you just break it big, all key levels of resistance, of course, that get violated as far as not doing such. It's just what we've been seeing, monster move high. Or sky high fly, I like to call it too. So therefore, looking next at 71.50 and then 52. I know 52 is big. Yeah. 71. Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, this high is 72.61. So I'm going to just pass. I don't even think I need to do the lower one. But I suppose I could use a calculator to make. I don't need a spreadsheet. Although I forgot my number. 31.50, I think it was. And plus, it's all. You don't need to do around the area anyway. Like, technically, you can just go like, hey, even 34 looks good, or 32. I mean, that's all fine and dandy, too. So, 27,000 change, I think it was. Okay, so after an 8.5x move, to the x to the y is what I'm looking for right here. So I've already done 76.4, so after that is the 8.56. What was that number again? 8.5, I can remember that. Plus I've got this saved anyway on the spread on the calculator. 85.4, yeah. And I forgot the number already. 8.56, okay. 85.6 to the square root of 85, or up to, yeah, exponent. Yeah, same thing, square root. 85.4. And then we multiply the low of about 3,200, which gives me a key number of 20,000 even. Okay. I mean, it's psychological, and technically it's hasn't went there. If anything, kind of piercing above. So let's just figure the one out above that again. So that's 0.09. So the opposite is point. We can subtract number 1, but 90.9. Or you could just do 0.91 as well too, 91% retracement. So we'll put that in something around that area here, 20 divided by. So 22,584 was the level before that. How did that work out? Of course, I mean Pierce's X, I mean whatever on that. So yeah, these levels that I came up with, I think should probably work out pretty decent if there's going to be any further retracement. So when you calculate stuff like this in an up run, those are going to be the levels until the high gets taken out. And then as the market rallies higher, well, first before you calculate the new high, you're going to notice on the shorter term that the level from this high to whatever this low would have to get violated. You'd have to get above the 18 average of highs, and then you're going to have to get above 61.8% and hold above, stay above it from the high of 27.7 to whatever the low happens to be at around 21.7. So those numbers I gave were all like yada yada close, but it also worked that if you calculate it a little bit off, your numbers are going to be a little bit off here, and you'll be in the same area. So if you calculate, if the real number is like 22.38 and you got something a little above or below it, you're in good shape. So just round calculating, nothing wrong with doing such. And short term, I mean, there's still like no evidence of this thing reverting over against the Bitcoin. It had a decent sized run here. But as it came back within the 18, very weak on this rally, then we had extremely, well, no, the most basic of weak breakdowns in here. Then a weak rally, lower high, decent another low, two leg lower, downtrend formation. But the downtrend formation's done. But all it's done is went sideways. And therefore, you have had a lot of these moves. It's got a lot of work to go. And then when you've had a lot of these moves, that means I even want to see like on the 15-minute and hourly, like that's going to be like more important to see it start to maybe do something about this time frame, or even better yet, maybe the hourly as an indication of this thing ready to get going. Because obviously, this is now turning into a bear market on the short term. 4-hour term time frame back to correctionary phase and still overextended amongst the daily term by large levels. Looking at Theta against the US fiat, 11 and a quarter now. And I mean, this is just an extreme move, like 50 cents over 10. Under 10 cents way back when, at 10 cents for so long, and now 11. With enormous predictions, even for myself, I guess, because I mean, not like, I guess I've been saying for a while that somebody said it's not, definitely not me, that they think that's going to go to 1,000 when this just came out. Like you think of all these different stocks, like you can say like you bought Amazon, yeah, fifth day it comes out and okay, yeah, I think, or fifth day the company, whatever, fifth day it comes out, yeah, it's going to go to like these same levels. Microsoft in day 5 of their company, any major company, Apple, whatever you want to name, like on the first few days in, especially when it's pretty hard to tell on the early days because all the different cryptos that have come into the market. But Theta has also made it to the top or in around the area of the top 10. I think I've seen it near 10 or 11 or something like that. I think it jumped LITECOIN, which was a very interesting situation. It was one slot, maybe not now with the decline, but if so, it would be barely below it. I think I haven't checked, but it all moves and changes over and over. But this is, again, another indication to me that it is coming a long way on the intermediate or shorter term time frame. And then when you look at this long term, do we have the potential where that could make top 3, 4, 5? And I mean, not going to say it's going to happen on this run, but who knows on that. But yeah, it's, you go to like 11, 12, like 11, 9, 10, 8 rank, and maybe you fall back to like 20 or so rank or 15 rank on a pullback. And then as you move again, you go from 20th rank, 15th rank, 10th ranked. It's as a sports fan, I'm power rankings, as I like to call it myself. I love those. I love power rankings, so it's just something I'm a fan of. And when I was just and that was just really weird as a kid. I guess high school kid for that matter. I would play around, especially because I was very good with a random number generator. So I could make games basically because I could do it. Just to have like ranking systems back then, I would do with like the Commodore 64, and I could program it in different ways. So all the rung systems that you'd have, like, I mean, mine were really primitive though. So was computer programming, but I would just put different ranking systems for if an individual or team or what I was setting up would do really well. I could move it up based on different factors, usually based on full record and recent records. And I even do all that stuff today when I'm doing things like handicapping sports or researching sports, another way of putting it, where I'll figure, okay, over the last 5 or 10 days, they've done that. Over the last 1 day and 2 games was that way. Over the season, that way, and over their career even. So you give me a player like, say, Connor McDavid of the Edmonton Oilers. What did he do his last game? What position is he in for today? Is there anything different? What's he done over the last like 3, 4, 5, even up to 10? Because 10's an easy number to find for his past results. Okay, what's his season stats this year? And of course, what kind of player is he over his career? Just rankings is cool. But I'm really going off on a tangent, and there's not much more to go over. So let's just quickly go over it. And I'll suppose I'll cover. I can do Bitcoin too as well. It's got a possible bearish setup on Bitcoin, but so does possibly silver as well. Head and shoulders pattern. Left shoulder here, head if you count that right. But as it goes, the whole purpose of the same thing like a head and shoulders works. You had a decent sized move. You came down. You fell below the 18 like this, went to previous level of support. You had a lower high rally, which would always develop the right shoulder, and then you fall below, come back to where you came from, which is exactly what this is doing. The mathematics, if this happens, and I talked about, well, if it does, and so, I mean, it's doing it already, and I've been taking some advantage of it. I literally have in my household today close to 10% more silver because I got my order in. But and that's okay. I'm thinking that was heavy. That was really heavy to pick up. Really, really heavy. But um, this is well, it could be as far as the way the cryptos work. A really tiny first big order, if I look at it that way. Meaning, my buy was a short sale within cryptos to buy. So if cryptocurrencies go hog wild crazy moving forward like they've been doing, and there isn't any short-term corrections, or it holds, or it retraces, or it corrects those short-term corrections, meaning maybe Theta goes down to like $4 or $5, and then next thing you know, it's at 30 or 40, something like that. And same thing with all these other coins doing the same sort of deals. Bitcoin maybe goes to 30 something, and then it goes to like 85. All these great things. But if you see it, and as I've been saying, as long as silver doesn't go out of control high, it's going to be good. Meaning, even if, and it's been doing it from the root moves higher. I mean, if silver goes to like 30, 34, whatever. I mean, it went to 25. It is at 25 from back. Because I was even saying it was like 18, 19. Oh, if it goes up a bit, it's not going to be a big problem. Yeah, it went up a bit, and it's not. It's cool. It's awesome. But if it goes down, I mean, it would be so awesome if it's 20 and the cryptos go to those levels at that time because the ratios just even get better. And then, of course, you're able to spend less cryptos, get more silver, get more gold. Heck, I'm even considering getting palladium. Um, just and a lot of it is just because the packages get too heavy that way. And as it goes for me, the let me bring Bitcoin back up. Or I haven't put it up yet, but for the video, for the first time this video. And of course, it's in an uptrend, but means to an end, a vehicle to do get something done, if you will, trading vehicle, I guess. But way, way, way back when. Which let me just go to the weekly chart. What a phenomenal move it's been. And way back when would have been sometime during this little correct rangy cycle. I'm on silvergoldbull.ca and I see that there's a Bitcoin little logo down there. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that. Oh, I guess they take Bitcoin. Oh, if I ever happen to get any, and I didn't really have any back then maybe I can easily, it's going to be a piece of cake now to get rid of it, and it's getting rid of it for something I want. And then as time went on, I was looking at the chart, I'm thinking, man, this is probably going to start going higher, as I was getting really intrigued with it within this correctionary phase from the side of this low. And then as it was, and I've said in my video so many times, holding and staying above a particular area for quite some time. If you ever, I mean, it's not like you're always going to get like as you want to happen. But when I say these things, a lot of times when I say it, it's for what you want to see happen to make things easy. Literally, that's what it comes down to. And one of the ones you don't want to see in the sense of, oh, I want to move to be not too high, not too low, but just right. Well, theta was not too low, and it wasn't just right. It was too high. But when I'm bullish on it, I kind of want that part. So, but yeah, as far as trying to find setups for things like this, you got the high, you got the low. So 61.8% would be somewhere in the area of around here. And then you look at how this was holding. So this move in here, the summer of 2016, was just so intriguing for me. And because it was able to do it, and then you see a pattern like this. This is like just, you're getting lucky when you're looking at the patterns like before getting something like this. Because this gives you time to notice and evaluate the situation. And for what it's worth, you always want it to be easy for you to have a buy or sell situation and then not have to be so easily lucked out because you didn't have that much time to get it. So the move to make it to this level was giving you at that time a lot of evidence. So you asked me reasons why if I only use, because I pretty much only use the 18 and fib. I'm showing you a lot of reasons why that's the case, like why I only use it that way. Or those are only things I use for indicators. I mean, 18 does a phenomenal job on so many fronts. As of course, I think the Fibonacci retracement does as well. But the plan has always been to use such to get what I and the precious metals. And I've used the example of it's like the only thing I can consider or think of as an investment that is, well, pretty much guaranteed as far as I feel to myself. Gold as well, but it's an honorable mention, and it's well, quite frankly, it's I don't expect as large of an upside on it. And I feel silver is like, I mean, it's a raw material. I know it's a raw material that will pretty much never ever lose its value because it's always going to be needed and used. Plain and simple. You got fiat currency, which can be held on within accounts on organizations, digital cash, or you can hold it in your own form, which is those 10, 20, 50, $100 bills and whatnot. Mainly, we'll call it 20s. Well, for me, it's 50, 20s, and hundreds. They have value, but are they guaranteed to still be around and have value in 5 years, 10 years? And to me, hell no. And then you have cryptocurrencies. Maybe the probabilities might be high, and maybe I'm seeing something where it's quote unquote, yes, it is guaranteed. I just don't know how. But there's a lot more advantages, or it's a lot better than a fiat currency system is. But when you hear people talking about how cryptos are backed by nothing, they kind of do have a point. But they are backed though. So it's backed by technology in the sense of you got like an operating system for your computer. What's it backed by? And if it what runs everything, it's like your motor, your engine, if you will. You got a working engine, a working vehicle, a system for a modern a unit of exchange of trade that actually works very, very well. How much is that worth? Whether it's worth this price or less or more, I mean, obviously the free market's trying to tell us that now. It's also in the stage where we don't see Model Ts on in the streets anymore. It was the first ever car, pretty much, and this is the first ever cryptocurrency. Will there ever become a time where this crypto will knock out that one and that one and that one? Well, yeah, maybe. So even though you could be right about blockchain and such like that, as far as BTC is concerned, I'm concerned about withdrawal costs with taking it off the exchange or of almost any way. I'm concerned about how much it actually, and by design too, how much it costs for the hydro for it to run. And thus, you got smart people, smart computer programmers, smart engineers, and smart who knows what that are able to make the better Model T, basically, which isn't hard to do. It's usually not hard to make better than Genesis models, as this, of course, is a Genesis model. Okay, daily time frame. What's the 18 doing? That's the question. What's the answer? I mean, it's been in a major uptrend most of the way. Price action has practically always been above it. It's had a little bit of time within it, and even less time below it. Right now it's below it. So you've had attempts for price action to revert the trend, but it's been an ultimate fail every time. A little bit of an attempt in here, getting below, retest didn't do much. Had a few periods below here. I mean, yeah, whatever on that one. And by the way, this is under 10,000, just to let you know. Yeah, but so what a move that it's had. Is it due for a correction at some point? Yeah, but calling tops and bottoms, you could have been saying, man, it's up too much here at 22 and at 25. And you know what? Maybe it was, but no, it wasn't. So maybe it wasn't. And you've only had MAC corrections. And this was a pretty good MAC one here and a little MAC one here. And now it's already had at least that. But every single time, as I mentioned, this has been a failure to even attempt to correct in anything a more longer term that would affect like the weekly term time frame. Within what we see in here, you have this high, you come back and you come back to where we came from. Resist in here, which is like a 61.8% from this high to this low. And then we're seeing how it was failing on the 61.8% from this high to this low in here. And within these few periods, this little mass sideways one, but had a little bit of a breakdown in here after rallying up to here at some point. There is 23 hours left in the day, so the day just started in here. And, well, I can't count much on when it's 4% through. 4-hour term. Let me just remove this first. First support was established here. You might as well do something. I'm thinking about Fibonacci. You might as well finish the video off with that as well. But we have resist support here. Then it came down, retested this level, or established one in here. This high, of course, lower than this one, barely getting above it. But I've said this so many times, and I don't need to say this every time. If you've been watching my videos, you already know this as it is. And the must-hold area was somewhere on the 55 low change, and it didn't do it. Nice, decent break below here. And now it's back down to this level for the third time, and it didn't spend much time there the previous two times. In fact, it spent like no time below 54. So it wouldn't be a surprise if we have any rallies from here that this 54, maybe like 54 to 55 becomes resistance again. But as it goes, usually when I see a test like this usually tells me we're going to be going through a new level. Fibonacci levels, I suppose you got it from this low as one of them. We have it from this low as well. I don't like this one as much now. So it's either this low. I'm going to do it from this one here because I'm looking for short-term moves for now. So the highest price and the lowest price. What's the highest price on here? I got high of 61,781. And this is where if you do it linearly, it would be pretty much the same numbers because the high divided by low is not that big of a number. So that's an interesting interesting thing to do if you're calculating Fibonacci. Do something like Theta or ThetaFuel from those big levels and calculate it both linearly, like high minus low way, and then the exponent way. And then do it with something like this, or even go like the Dow Jones or something like that. Look at the 5-minute time frame or something and look at an intraday move, and the numbers will be the exact same on those ones. It's pretty cool. The low is pretty much 43 low change in here, but let's get the exact number. 43,021. I mean, there'd be a little bit of difference in here because the difference would be like 1.5 or so on the high divided by low. But when high divided by low is like 1.1, 1.2, 1.05, it's always pretty much the exact same. Okay, then. So we have first two key levels is 56 high change and 53 high change. So 56 high change is roughly around here. So this was an area, let me just put a line in. Amongst the four, let me just, I want to look at the hour here. 'Cause I say amongst the 4 hour didn't show, whatever, but I wouldn't mind seeing what this angle hour showed me as well. I mean, the resistance here, so typical. So when it originally comes down to it, it had a large pierce below, and it ended up resisting amongst that point rather than supporting it. So you see it resisting it, leaving the 18. Yeah, that's not the greatest of signs. However, I mean, it did have this failed rally afterwards, but of course, failing. So you have a move above it. Are we having a bottom? Again, retracement from this high to this low, like 76 or 61% around here. Not able to really, what you really need to see here, you have this high, this low, you've established this resistance. You need to see it get above it, hold and stay above it. It never even really did much of that. And then you're going to have, for the breakdown here, well, I guess it doesn't matter if you use this high or this low or this high or this low now on the way down. But you're seeing how after this support test here, breaking down, it just weak. And then a big reverse V-shaped formation starting at like 2 o'clock in the morning on today's move, or all day today for that matter. So you see this, and you see this breaking down below next key levels where you expect it to go to, which is in a 53.852, and it's already done that. I mean, it kind of already did that already from this move here. So you support it, resist it, support it. Well, you don't support it here, so now the statement has been made that we're going down to next key level again. Next key level is 49,400. That was what the statement via which period? Well, obviously this one here, 1800 hours. And what's it done? Well, we've had two completed periods where it's just sideways it. We're starting a new one now. We're only 5 minutes in, but so the Fibonacci for this move, this high in at 57,207, whatever the low happens to be, it's currently in that of 51,638. So if you're day trading, I'm not going to calculate it, but okay, now we're looking at this move. You got those numbers in, you put your lines in as you will, you view them, you write them down where you do, and then you just analyze the market moving from that point forward. I got nothing more to say because I explained everything that I pretty much want to, and I explained more. So I'll thank you for tuning in and have yourself a great day. Bye bye.